Are you ready for the future of city mobility? Are you ready to drop 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 lakh rupees on a second, third car that will be used only in the city? An electric only car, a car that only has 3 doors, a car that runs on 12-inch wheels, but a car that is rear wheel drive. Well, MG definitely hopes that you are there, that you are ready. This is the Comet EV. It is targeted at the cool, young lot, at Gen Z, the millennials. But they're also saying 50, 60-year-olds can use it. If you want to go golfing, this has space for your golf bags if you drop the rear seats down. We're going to be driving the MG Comet EV in the city, over a few speed breakers, over a few potholes, and then take it on the highway. And this is relevant because if you're doing Delhi, Gurgaon, you will be hitting the highway. So it's not like this car is never going to see the highway. And this is a relevant test. So let's get going. Let's start with the drivetrain of the MG Comet. This gets a 17.3 kilowatt hour battery that gives a claimed 230 kilometers of range. Now, if it's claimed 230, you would probably get around 180 in real world conditions. But this morning, when we started off, it was showing 96% battery charge left and 196 kilometers of range. So looks like it'll probably do 200 kilometers on a full charge. Now, there is no fast charging on the Comet, so it's only your home charger. On a 3.3 kilowatt hour home charger, 0 to 100 will take 7 hours. They say between 4 to 6 hours depending on your state of charge, but completely empty, it will take you 7 hours to charge the Comet EV. And you'll get a real world range of around 200 kilometers, which, okay, it does sound a little low, but if you consider that this is going to be used as a city car, it actually makes a lot of sense. Now, city car, it will have to go over speed breakers. So let's talk about that. What does it feel like over speed breakers? It is stiff. It's actually soft. But when you go over speed breakers, the front goes over it pretty okay. And then at the back, you get a proper jolt. So over speed breakers, this isn't great. And then there's also the fact that the suspension, it feels a bit fragile. Now, this is the Wuling Air. It has been rebranded MG Comet for India. And in China, I don't think they really have speed breakers or bad roads. So this is built for those kind of urban roads that you would get in developed countries. In India, with speed breakers, this is not comfortable. And it feels a bit fragile. So over some of the speed breakers, when you go over them a little fast, there's a solid thwack that comes through. And that is a bit unnerving. When you go over these cobbled patches also, there's a lot of road noise. Now, this doesn't really have a lot of sound insulation. So if there's a bus next to you, you are going to hear it loud and clear. But this is superbly maneuverable. 4.2 meters turning radius, the smallest of any car that you can get in India right now. So it's actually very easy to drive in the city. Very compact, so you can squeeze into those narrow gaps like you were probably driving an auto rickshaw. In a normal car, no chance you would be able to squeeze into those gaps. Plus, you sit so high up, so you have an excellent view all around. You can really see all around the bonnet. There is hardly anything in terms of a bonnet, so you can see, heard that thwack from the suspension? So you can go really close to the car in front. You can really squeeze it anywhere. Parking also is going to be relatively easier. Of course, you have to first find a parking spot. If there is no parking spot, you're not going to park it. So you have to first find a parking spot. This is not like the solution to all the parking woes. It will fit into tight gaps, but first you have to find that tight gap. So that is there. I think we should find a road without speed breakers, because this after a while is going to get a bit uncomfortable and also a bit tedious jumping over all these speed breakers. If you go a little faster, it gets slightly better, but still, speed breakers not its forte, bad roads not its forte, corners, oh, a lot of body roll. and you can't go over bad patches fast. In fact, this would be, I don't know, it won't be fun to take around a go-kart track. This, I know, is rear wheel drive, and rear wheel drive is supposed to appeal to us at Evo, but this is a proper city car. It is a tall boy, it has got soft suspension, it has got piddly little 12-inch tires. The last time we saw 12-inch tires was on the Maruti 800, and then I think the Zen, the update, it got 12-inch wheels. I don't remember after that 12-inch wheels on any car. So it's small, tiny, and it's built for a purpose. So another corner. What you can do is you can avoid these speed breakers, because you can just go to the side and you can skip all of that. So let's go find a proper road. So what's the MG Comet EV like to drive in the urban jungle, the environment that it is built for? To find out, we're going to be driving it through peak Delhi rush hour traffic from the heart of Delhi to Gurgaon. Delhi traffic, as you know, is a bit chaotic. It is very aggressive. And that's the first thing that I want to find out, whether this will feel okay to drive in the city with everybody pushing you out of the way, all the muscling around that happens in Delhi traffic. What will it feel like? Let's find out. So first things first, visibility is actually really good. Because you sit so high up, you can get a really good view out ahead. The pillars aren't really big, they don't intrude into your field of vision. You can't see the bonnet, but there is nothing in the way of a bonnet up front. So you can really go very close to the car in front of you. It is also very narrow, so you can squeeze into gaps that you probably didn't think were possible. But when you have buses around you, honestly, you do feel a bit nervous. Is it scary? It's not scary, but it is a bit unnerving to be driving so close to all the traffic around you, especially these big burly buses, which are dented from all sides. So they've obviously shoved a lot of people out of the way. And all these beaten up panel vans. Gosh, the condition of the cars that you see in Delhi is also something else. But the thing is, this can keep pace with all of that traffic. Everybody who is driving like as if they have to run for their wife's pregnancy, this can keep pace with them. It's not like you're struggling to keep up with them. And you can also overtake all these chappies. You can't overtake and disappear. That's not going to happen. But you're not underpowered. You don't feel that, oh, I need a little bit more power. Oh, this is too dangerous. Actually, no. I've stuck it into the sport mode, but even in normal mode, it is fine. It doesn't feel like it is a struggle to keep pace with city traffic. In fact, the turn of pace is pretty impressive. So you can scoot past the rickshaws, all these beaten up Ola and Ubers, which are always stinky. And it's also very easy to maneuver. So cutting lanes, you can do it sat karke. Very quickly, very neatly. You get a good view from the mirrors also. So overall, it's actually, I'm surprised that it is so suitable for city driving. Now, this is not going to reduce congestion, okay, because the space is only that much. Of course, you can squeeze into narrower gaps with this, but you will take more or less the same time on the city commute. If you are in, say, a Hector, where our crew is sitting, or in this, you're going to take the same amount of time. And in something like this, there is the novelty factor associated with it. So everybody's turning around and looking at you and giving you a bit of space. But later on, once this becomes a bit commonplace, then pushing your way through is not going to happen in this. If you're going to be squeezing in traffic and giving gul, like they call it, that's not going to happen in this. People will laugh at you and then push their bonnet in front. But see, like here, all the buses are piled up on the extreme 2 lanes to take a right turn. They block the road going ahead. So you can actually squeeze into the other lane and probably get out of the mess, which our Hector is still stuck in the right lane. So yeah, there is the convenience factor associated with it. And look at the turn of pace. It's actually pretty good. In fact, it would have squeezed into that gap, but this is still the first time that I'm driving the car, so I am a bit cautious. Don't want to be the first one to prang a parrot green Comet. But it's zippy, you can dart into these gaps. The brakes are okay, but the suspension is really soft. So even when you stand on the brakes, there is a fair bit of nosedive. You go into a pothole and you're rocked around massively. You feel everything. You can also hear everything. I can even hear that Eco's engine running. So there's not much in the way of sound deadening. Some cool stuff on the Comet on the display when you put on your indicators. The little graphic of the Comet that also lights up. Now I think we're going down the India Gate circle, 250 lanes, all stuffed with aggro drivers with a point to prove, and this little Comet trying to find its way. In terms of handling, there's a lot of body roll. The seats are flat, no support. Under thigh support is lacking. So normally you keep your phone under your thigh. You can't do this. I put my phone in the cup holder, and that means the vent that is blocked. So I'm not getting throw from the aircon from the extreme vent. So I have to turn up the aircon, the middle two vents, and the air conditioning is just about adequate. It's nothing great. It's adequate. It's okay. Also, it is blazing hot. So this is having to work overtime. But then this is India. India, everything is blazing hot. The MG guys told us that the top speed is capped at 80 kilometers per hour. But on the display, you can go up to almost 100 kilometers per hour. Again, that's not the intended purpose of the Comet EV to be doing 100 kilometers per hour. But if you need to for the short bursts, it will do it. Account for maybe 10% speed error at the very max. So you're still doing 90 kilometers per hour true speed. Getting to 80 also is relatively quick. I'm guessing around 14-15 seconds to 80 kilometers per hour. We can't really do VBOX testing in Delhi NCR on public roads, so we're not going to do that, but estimate around that much. So you notice I'm using wireless CarPlay, and that's a very cool feature to have on what is a dinky little city car. You get a lot of features. And let's talk about that. Let's stop and let's dive deep into all the features, the exterior styling, the interiors, the space. Let's stop and let's talk about that. The nose is dominated by this full width light bar, which is a characteristic signature of all electric cars, but obviously now a lot of ICE vehicles have it. The MG logo on the nose, that also is lit up. That's a cool element. And of course, the lights are full LED lights. This being an electric vehicle, it doesn't need a grille, and that's a good thing because a lot of electric cars still have those big grills. This does not have a grill. This is obviously where you plug in your charging port. That's out here on the nose, not on the sides of the car. The length of the car, just under 3 meters. So if there was a new excise duty brake for under 3 meter cars, this would get it. And this obviously makes a lot of sense in the city, parking it. It will be easier in such a compact car. The wheels, they are pushed to the absolute extremities of the car. The wheelbase is 2010 mm, so just over 2 meters. And the height, 1640 mm. So it is a tall car. It is a proper tall boy, but MG aren't calling it a tall boy. And I have to point out these wheels. Now, these are 12-inch wheels. The last time I remember 12-inch wheels were on a car was in the 800 and the Zen. The Zen originally came with 13, then when the Santro and all that came into in a bid to give it a little bit better ride quality, the Zen went to smaller 12-inch wheels with a taller sidewall. Here, 12-inch wheels are back on a car on the Comet EV. And these are Seat Energy Drive tires, obviously for low rolling resistance to help it give it a little bit more range. Over at the rear also, you get a full width tail lamp. You get this chrome elements to give it a little bit more premium touches. You get the Internet Inside badge over here. And of course, Comet written huge on the tailgate. This tailgate, it actually opens. And the space, well, your charger will fit over there, but that's about it. It's quite narrow, though it is deep. And the seats, they fold full flat. So if you are an avid golfer like the MD of MG Motors, Rajiv Chhabra is, you can put 1 or 2 golf kits in over here and go for your weekend golfing. So on the insides, now this is 1505 mm wide, excluding the mirrors, 1.5 meters, and that means you will be rubbing shoulders with your passenger. There's no two ways around it. In terms of the overall design of the cabin, I must say it looks really nice. A lot of elements from the Apple aesthetic have been incorporated here. So these white panels on the edges, the controls on the steering wheel, that is inspired by the iPod, if you remember that. This control, the design has been inspired by it. Again, you have the white aesthetic around the drive mode selector. There's a lot of white on the center, well, you can't call it a center console, but this central unit and a few intelligent touches. So you have this completely flat fob. That means you have space to, for instance, put your shopping bags, or the lady can put a handbag. So you have these 2 hooks out here for latkoing stuff over there. You have sort of a tray over here where you can probably keep your mobile phone. So that is handy. So the center panel has no space for cup holders. The cup holders are at the extremities. And if you put in things there, suppose a cold glass of Pepsi or Coke, it is going to stay cool because the vent is right over there. But if you stick a hot cup of Starbucks coffee over there, that will get cold very quickly because again, the vent is over there and you can't switch off the vent. So if you turn down the blower, that means even your central blowers, the vents, the throw will reduce. So you will get really hot in the Indian summer. So that is a compromise that you will have to live with. But of course, the main talking point of the interior is this huge slab of digital real estate. And considering the width of the car, the relative proportion of it, this definitely looks big. It's, I think, 10.25 inches. And there's a lot of information out there. So you get wireless Apple CarPlay, which is a really premium feature. Even the Ioniq 5, for that matter, does not have wireless CarPlay. The Audi e-tron that we've been long-term testing does not have wireless CarPlay. But the MG Comet has wireless CarPlay. It is obviously a touchscreen. The graphics, the responsiveness, it's all pretty good. It's also got a lot of connected car features. This is, after all, an MG, and it has got that Internet Inside badge at the back. The display, the digital cockpit, it's got a lot of information again out there. So overall, it is nicely done. You have this black panel, the piano black panel, chrome around the aircon vents, white over here like I talked about, white on the steering. So the design, the sense of quality, perceived sense of quality is also very good. Now, we haven't really talked about the sound quality, but MG have said that the sound quality is also very good. So maybe when we go back on the road, we'll talk about that in a bit. You have chrome on the door handles. So overall, it actually is designed pretty nicely. But of course, you want to know how spacious it is at the back. So let's jump in. So how do you get into the back seat? Now, obviously, this is a 3-door. So using this one lever here, you dip the seat and slide it all the way forward. And then you climb inside. And honestly, it's not that difficult. Now, because it's got a flat floor, so you can slide to behind the driver's seat. The driver's seat is adjusted to my driving position, and in the Comet, that is all the way back. It won't slide any further. And I got 1 inch of free knee-room. There is space under the seat to tuck in my toes. The seat back is very upright, so that I would have preferred it to be a little bit more reclined, so you get a little bit more comfort. Headroom is actually good, 3 inches of free headroom. Then you have this quarter glass, I would call it, so it doesn't feel cooped in. Obviously, you're not going to get a sunroof, so don't even ask about that. But this glass opens things up, and you have a proper 3-pointed seat belt. So you're belted in properly. There is no center armrest because this is not that wide. And if somebody's sitting here, you are going to be rubbing shoulders. But actually, it's not cramped. It really isn't cramped in here, and it doesn't even feel cooped in. This single piece front seat does sort of cut into your view ahead, so you will have to be sticking your neck out that way. But overall, this is a proper 4-seater, and they're not even making a pretense for being a 5-seater, so it's a proper 4-seater. And then getting out, ouch. Yeah, so it's pretty all right. Before we get back on the road, I should point out some stuff on the passenger seat. So first things first, to climb in, you need to duck a bit, and it's easier sort of to hold this A-pillar and then climb in. Now, there is a lot of space. You can slide the seat back, enough of knee room, but the footwell, it does intrude into your leg space. So if you want to be comfortable, your feet need to be sort of angled to the right. They're not comfortable over there. You can slide the seat forward, keep your foot in there, but this is a bit narrow because of the footwell intrusion. And now let's get to the driving. Actually, I can just slide in over here. And now back to driving the Comet EV, I should also point out that the quality of materials is pretty good. So there is this fabric kind of patch over here, the silver finished patch over here, that feels good. Even the top of the dash, the plastic, it doesn't feel hard, scratchy. It's actually very surprising, the quality of materials that have been used out here. The build quality also seems okay. It's doing 100 kilometers an hour. Not bad. If you find the road, you can get up to decent speed. And that's what I said. It doesn't feel underpowered. You're not struggling to keep pace or even get ahead of all this city traffic. But honestly, I'm enjoying driving this. Maybe it's the novelty value of driving this car because it is new. But this takes me back 2 decades to when I first drove the Reva. Now, the Reva was crude, it was basic, it bounced all over the place. But that too, in the city, it had this sort of go-kart feel. And this is bringing back a lot of those memories. Obviously evolved, and it is far, far, far better than the Reva. But this is the Reva for the modern times, for the modern day. I didn't plan on saying this. This is not part of any script that we figured out, but it does have a bit of those Reva feels. You're sitting really tall, that tall boy stance. All of it is fond memories. The steering is a little light, bit loose. It is electric power steering. This has got rear wheel drive, but this is not a car that you want to throw around. It is soft. The body control is a bit all over the place. It is loose and flighty. Over speed breakers, it loses a bit of composure. But for city driving, like scooting through traffic, it actually works very well. The electric motor, because of the torque that you get, they haven't given us figures. In fact, they haven't given us the power figures also. How strange. So anyway, we'll find out and we'll put it in the supers below. But because of that low down torque of the motor, it does get up to speed pretty well. The response is good. The throttle response, that's actually quick and pretty direct. So it is a sprightly little tool for city commuting. One thing that I don't like is that there is no footwell. And because those wheel arches intrude into the footwell, you end up sitting a bit angled, little tera. it's not straight, it's like a little bit at an angle. It's not uncomfortable, and you're not obviously going to be driving this for 6 hours non-stop. In fact, what we are doing now, Delhi to Gurgaon, 1 hour 20 minutes is the max that you would be spending time in something like this. But I have to tell you that you are not sitting like straight, you are a little bit at an angle, little awkward. And the air conditioning, it always has to be at the max, at either 8 or the max 9 blower setting. Otherwise, I think because the glass area is also huge and it is peak Indian summer, the cabin does get hot. But here's just a representation of how quick this is and how easily it can slice through city traffic, that I've had to send my live location to the camera crew in the hectare behind because they've lost sight of me. They can't keep up with this. So real world testing, and yep, the Comet EV is damn nice for the city. It can keep pace and even stay ahead of other SUVs. But we have to be a little careful over bumpy roads, over speed breakers, because this does tend to bounce around. It will throw you around. So this has to be an owner driven car.
इलेक्ट्रिक है सर.
इलेक्ट्रिक है, हाँ.
कितने चार्ज सर?
230 kilometers एक charge पे. So the Comet EV gets a lot of attention. Everybody wants to know about it. Everybody is curious about it. It looks like nothing else on the road. So whether you like it or not in terms of the styling, it'll definitely get you noticed. And stuff like this green and also those other vibe packs that they have, it'll definitely get you noticed. So this courier guy on something called ZYPP, he's also curious to know about the range, about the cost. This has to be around 8 lakh rupees. The Tiago is 8.6 lakh rupees. So the MG Comet can't be more than the Tiago. The Tiago, end of the day, is a proper car. This is a small city car. The Tiago you can take onto the highways without a problem. This you can't do highway runs with it. So 8 lakhs is what this should be at. Any more, and then I think they are probably killing the market for it. They has to aggressively price it, and then later on, once acceptance goes up, then obviously you can increase the price like what everybody else does. But pricing is going to be crucial for something like this. In terms of safety, a lot of you guys asked us to talk about the safety. I can't say anything because we are not qualified to test for safety. That's the job of agencies like Global NCAP or Bharat NCAP when that starts off soon. But as of now, no idea. Does it make you feel safe? Obviously in an SUV you will feel safer. So this is a small city car, tiny. You're not going to feel safe like in other cars. But ultimate safety, we don't know. MG saying that this is a safe car. So we really don't have any yardstick to go by. It's only when Global NCAP picks up one of these cars and crash tests it that we will know what the safety of this car is. We hope it is decent, but your guess is as good as mine. Not having the capability to fast charge is a bit of a problem if you are, say, running around in the city, you haven't charged it overnight. Say the power went off and you did not know, so you did not pull out the charger and put it back in and reset it. So then if you're low on charge, you can't just go to a fast charger and top it up for 20 minutes and get enough juice to carry on. So that is one downside. Though MG say that in their research they found out that most people who have electric cars, they charge it at home. Obviously, that is the sensible thing to do. Why do you want to buy an electric car and then go and use a public charger? The point of using an electric car is that you don't have to go to a petrol pump and stand in line to charge or to fuel up. So that's a thing, but I have to point out that if you buy a Comet and if you run out of juice and you want a quick top up, that's not going to happen. It will be a relaxed top up. I talked about the sound insulation. I should point out where the horn is. So the horn, listen to it. It's almost like the horn is positioned inside the cabin in the left footwell. I don't know how much it'll get the attention of people outside, but it definitely gets the attention of anybody inside the Comet. Listen to it. Loud. So what do I think of the Comet EV? Well, I think it's a very sensible car and the time has come for it. Our cities are mad congested. What we do need are small little city cars that take up less space, less emissions, zero noise. So in that sense, this is spot on. Plus, most of us commute in the city with one, maximum two people. So why do we really need big cars? But fact of the matter is that something like this has never existed either in India. So whether Indian customers will accept it, well, we will have to wait and watch. And ultimately, it will all depend upon pricing. What I think it should be priced at is around 8, max 9 lakh rupees. Anything more than that, and I think it's pushing it. It's not like the car is cheap or cheaply built or there's no equipment. It's got everything in it, but it has to crack that market. It has to crack that market for small city only EVs. And for that, pricing is crucial.